Destiny Church is only like it is because it is kingdom-oriented, kingdom-minded. It has got a kingdom spirit. So when the kingdom comes through the church, their church now is militarized. In other words, it's a forceful, advancing power that goes into every part of society, invades without permission. So you understand now that you are an invading force that has the power to change. With that great faith, the military, just the word. Just imagine if I said, Samuel, and I told him, go and do this, this, and this. He just goes and does it straight away. Straight away goes and does it. Doesn't even question. Now, recently the hit job that TV1, Television New Zealand did with an investigative reporter, they call him, journalist called John Campbell. Right, so he did it in depth. They reckon, this is what they tell us, he had an interview with Jack Tame on breakfast to give it some, make it so all the people can go there and see how bad Man Up is. And when he had the interview, he said, oh man, I had to look at hundreds of hours almost of Brian Tamaki's preaching. I had a mental breakdown almost. And he said, it drained me. And Jack Tame was looking at him, and you should have seen his face. Apparently at the time, his face was like, can you imagine that demon had to sit there in a studio for weeks, sucking it up, my preaching, he's trying to find just one line, like when I said about Sodom and Gomorrah and how that God burnt it with fire, and it's just like when you see that supported and paid for by Parliament, we need to burn Parliament down too, Sodom and Gomorrah. He took that part out, and I said, burn Parliament, burn it with fire. He took that out. Then he stitched it with another couple of words that I said somewhere else, and the public are going like, whoa, arrest them, I'm busy having a laugh with my wife, and we're having a coffee at Starbucks. Well, I'm not worried about all this. And so my presence and power is working in the guy who's trying to do a hit job. And he said he's had the worst time of his life, and his demons got pulled down to the lowest level, and he had a mental breakdown almost. Isn't that funny? He's getting delivered watching me preaching on tapes, trying to find stuff and stitch it and cut and paste so it makes me look ugly. And yet all the public said, what a W, what a F. And most people said they went against him. And he did the dirtiest hit job he could on Man Up, and put someone on there didn't even know 8 years ago, a guy who wasn't never a facilitator, and he was beating his wife up, and hey, you can go home tonight and Luke, you can beat his wife up. but